All right, how y'all doing out there? And what is going on the Atlanta Bird Gang channel on Facebook and also on Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube? Happy to see everybody out there. Happy Friday. Always happy with a smile on our face on a Friday because it's coming into football weekend. And as we are getting into the November month where you look outside and all the leaves are falling down, man. It's just like all of a sudden for all of September and all of October, like trees hanging in there, saying to yourself, man, it's not that cold. What's going on? And then at one time, all this week, all the leaves just fall on the ground for no reason. Everything, whole yard is inundated with leaves everywhere. But that lets us know that we are getting into the deep part of the football season, whether it be college and in our case, our Atlanta Falcons. And this week, to me, is a very pivotal week for the Atlanta Falcons. We are 4-4. There are a lot of people that thought we'd be nowhere near the 500 position, and there are some folks that actually thought we may be a little better at this point in the game. And I can understand that. There were big time expectations for this team, no matter how you slice it. What's going on, everybody? I see you, Ron, out there. What's going on, man? What's going on, my brother? Good to see y'all out there on a Friday. Hey, brother, how you feeling? Said I'm looking forward to the chess match between Ryan and Quinn and Dak and Pease this weekend. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, and I'm going to tell you why. Of course, this week, and it's probably why this game is probably going to be the A side of games this week because of the Dan Quinn connection to the Atlanta Falcons. To me, it's kind of a small story. Listen, we can say all we want about Dan Quinn, but Dan Quinn was the head coach when this team made it to the Super Bowl for the first time in 20 years. So you got to give him credit on that he was the head guy. Whether you want to give Kyle Shanahan some credit or whether the team just powered through and did what they had to do, at the end of the day, this was a Dan Quinn team, and Dan Quinn should get credit for leading this team to the Super Bowl, despite the results, of course. I think that's really the side part of it. Now, Dan Quinn's defense against Matt Ryan and this evolving offense of Atlanta is going to be a big story to me. Dallas, whose defense has definitely improved from last year, not trying to say that they are quite ready to jump into one of the top 10 spots, but they have been doing a great job of getting the ball from the opponents. The turnovers have been looking great. The offense seems like they've been hitting on all cylinders. Now, we do have a little bit of injury concern on the Dallas side as Ezekiel Elliott was limited in practice with his knee. I don't know whether that means I would imagine he's going to play. Most of the time when I see folks say limited practice, by today, we'll see. Today is that last full practice day. Let's see if Zeke will suit up. I'm going to bet that he is. Right now, Dallas has a nasty taste in his mouth after the loss at home to Denver. And Denver is no slouch now. Denver has won 5 games over there in all of a sudden extremely competitive AFC, where I think there are only, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw where there are only, 4 teams? Yeah, you have the Miami, the Jets, Jacksonville, and Houston. Those are out of the 16 teams in the AFC. Those are the only teams that are under 500. Is that crazy? So 12 out of 16 teams in the AFC are 500 or above. And really, I don't even say that. I'll take it one step further. 12 of the teams, well, you know what? I take that back. 11. My bad. Indianapolis Colts are 4-5. So still, 11 out of 16 teams in the AFC are above 500. That's crazy. Now, throw that back to our side with the NFC. And this is why you see how this game is going to be very critical. And it's kind of a crossroads when you start talking about the Atlanta Falcons. While we have not had a very clean, it's safe to say we haven't had a clean game yet. We've had okay games, but when you're clean all the way through. The New Orleans game, the Miami game, you let the other team come back and actually take the lead before you solidified it in the last second drive. I think we need to start working on what we're going to do in the fourth quarter. There's something about that fourth quarter that for some people say that's a bugaboo for a few years, but we've got to work on. I don't know whether that's a conditioning thing. I don't know whether that's a fatigue thing. By the time you get to the fourth quarter, you're just peed out. That's crazy, but it is, something to look at. Denver has been Dallas's kryptonite for some years now. Maybe it's payback for that Super Bowl that Dallas won back in the late 70s when they beat that vaunted Orange Crush defense back in the day. And Denver had a really good team. And I think, was that Dan Reeves? I'm trying to think, was that Dan Reeves? Might have been. But Dallas beat the mess out of them in that game. So we're going to face an angry Dallas team. Dallas is probably ready to get back on the field and rectify what happened the week before. Also on the injury front for Dallas is Randy Gregory. He's going to be out. He had a calf injury in practice this week. Hopefully that helps the Falcons because he was a major part of that pass rush that Dallas has been using in their front four. Maybe they may have to end up doing a little bit more work with the linebackers, getting some pressure on Matt. So in turn, that means our offense has to be ready for everything this week. Dallas is not happy about what happened last week. We cannot go into this game going up a touchdown or two and then just lay back because this offense may be the best offense we're going to face this year, in my opinion. I know Tampa Bay's offense was pretty good, and I know the two of those touchdowns were defensive when you start talking about Tampa Bay, but they still have a pretty potent offense as well. So it would be somewhere between Tampa Bay and Dallas as far as two of the best offenses that we're going to see. Gotta take advantage of the softness of this defense. I know Diggs has all the interceptions, caught the early headlines and things of that nature, but we've been doing some things on offense that I think we need to, stick to. The way they've been moving Cordell Patterson all around the lineup, just making him a threat, whether it's in the backfield, whether it's split out, whether it's in the slot. They're moving him in all kinds of different places, and it's kind of throwing the defenses off. Gotta have some production from the running game. Mike Davis. And a lot of folks have been getting upset with Mike Davis about not having production. Folks, I was trying to explain before the season started. Mike Davis was not a high-value free agent. Never was. When he filled in for Christian McCaffrey last year, he was a stopgap until McCaffrey came back. He was not this big-time rushing machine. I think he just, happened to have a few good games, and they rolled him for a couple of games, but obviously they had a losing record, so it's not like they were that great. But when we got Mike Davis, it's not like we were guaranteed this 1,000-yard, 1,200-yard season. So the expectations, yes, expectations should always be higher, but I never thought Mike Davis would be one of those star guys. What's up, Michael? How you doing? Say depart in the morning for Dallas. Yes, sir. Hey, great. I've been seeing a lot of people post on Facebook that they're headed down that way. Brother, be safe and bring us back a victory, more importantly. It would do my heart so good to see Dallas fan. That probably next to the Saints. Dallas fans are the biggest front-running fans in probably professional sports. Maybe the Yankees, except the Yankees, you have to give them credit. They at least give you one every 3 or 4 years. The Yankees they'll have a down season or two, but then they always bounce back. So I'll give them benefit of the doubt. Dallas hasn't won in over 25 years. I mean, we have to call it what it is. Dallas is not that franchise anymore. They're popular. I'm not talking about their popularity. I'm talking about that people in fear of the franchise. Nobody's in fear of that franchise anymore. Not in my opinion. Corey, what's going on, man? Did you redesign the room? It looks nice. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. We did redesign this summer. Did some things during the latter part of the season. I'm going to be moving to different walls where you can see the other things we've done. But yeah, kind of have the basement and then the actual man cave in here. So I have the podcast set up back here. They have a little makeshift locker room right over there. But thank you very much. I appreciate you checking that out. But yeah, we have to really do keep the offense evolving, keep moving. We haven't arrived by far. Still would like to see some more targets for Kyle Pitts. I know last week you take, the game dictates what happened. 2 weeks ago, Russell Gage didn't get a target. Last week, he caught 6-7 balls. Cordell Patterson ended up being a major part, as he has in a lot of these games, of the offense last week. Keep evolving. Keep that stuff moving. Keep doing what you're doing. We're going to need to pull out all the stops to beat this team this week. And I say this is a crossroads for the season because even if you're not looking at playoffs, even if you're not, and I know currently right now we sit in the 7th spot halfway through the season, long way to go. So it is what it is. But at 4-4, you are kind of where if you win this game against Dallas, the mindset is, man, we might be up to something right now. We might be truly one of those teams. I'm not saying one of the elite. I'm not going Rams or Tampa Bay yet. But you win this game against Dallas, you get some confidence. And then you have a short turnaround and play New England on Thursday. And boy, think about this trifecta, folks. And I don't want to put I want to put the cart before the horse. But think about this. In a 2-week, in a 10-day, no, not 10. Yeah, that would be, no, an 11-day span, if things work out, you can go to New Orleans, beat New Orleans, go to Dallas, beat Dallas, and exercise some demons against the Patriots here on Thursday night in an 11-day span. But we got the first part. Let's take care of the second part first. You got it. You cannot take Dallas lightly. The defense last week, we kind of bent a little too much in that fourth quarter. That game should have been comfortably in hand, and we should have been kind of coasting down at the end. I know it's easy to call the defense out, but, offensively, we've got to still be aggressive in the fourth quarter. We do. As I said, minus the fourth quarter of last week, we could play much of the same game. Pitt should be very effective against the Cowgirls. They are missing a lot of defensive help. Well, we did mention there are some injuries on the side of the Cowboys. They are going to have some folks that are out this week. So, yeah, you got to start taking advantage of that. And also keeping in mind that I'm not sure what Neal's status is, but I know Neal was not checking tight ends very well. They better mess around and put Diggs on Pitts if they want, because Pitts against Neal is going to be a mismatch if that happens. Do whatever you need to do with Patterson. I don't care what it is. Keep being inventive. Keep doing those same things. This is not a game. We're playing the aura of the Cowboys. The Cowboys are not elite. The Cowboys are not, they're not that. Their fan base will have you believe that they're elite. Their fan base will have you believe that they are the best thing since sliced bread. But the Cowboys can be beat. And I think if the Falcons go in with a game plan similar to what they had against New Orleans, I think they're fine. I think that New Orleans defense is much better than Dallas's defense. So I don't see, if we didn't struggle against New Orleans, we shouldn't struggle against Dallas. But that's the part of the Atlanta Falcons that I want to see. Consistency. We can't lay an egg against a Carolina team that could only put up a field goal last week and then turn around and play one of the best defenses in the NFL and score 27 points? You can't do that. You can't be inconsistent. Keep bringing the attention, keep bringing the fire, keep bringing the momentum. We have to keep moving in that direction, y'all. We've got to. Joe, how you doing, brother? So I think we're going to win Sunday. We've been playing good on the road this year. Isn't that crazy, Joe? Because look, Joe, as a season ticket holder, dude, you have no idea how frustrating it has been to go to the Philly game, the Washington game, and the Carolina game and come away with L's each time. That Philly game got away from us. So, that is what it is. But the Washington and Carolina game, where you legitimately not only had the lead, but had an opportunity to come back in those games, that we just played so inconsistent. This is one of those games, this Dallas game, this can be a definer. This can be it's a fork in the road. It's going to tell you what direction this team is going to go. I think if we win this game against Dallas, I think it builds confidence. I think you look going forward and saying these guys have an opportunity to do some real things. If we lose this game, by far the season is not over, but it will kind of give you some uneasy feelings. But if you win this game, you go to Dallas and you get the daily double by going to New Orleans and going to Dallas with 2 straight wins, the confidence should be out of this world. Twan, what's going on, brother? So what's up, Uncle Steve? Let me tell you, offensively, the Falcons can torch the Cowboys. They have no one that can cover Pitts, especially if they play that zone. I was just saying that same thing, Twan. I don't see anyone, as long as Matt is careful with the ball and don't get too cutesy. I don't think this is a defense that you have to get cutesy about. We need to establish the running game, whether it's Mike Davis, whether it's Patterson. Shoot, if we have to bring Gallman in there to run, we've got to establish some semblance of a running game, because you don't want to go into this game one-dimensional. You don't want to go into this game just throwing and throwing and throwing, and all they're doing is just sending the rush every time. Mix it up. I give Atlanta a lot of credit last week, even though we did not rush the ball. Even though we weren't productive running the ball, we continued to keep pushing pushing the button. We kept trying to run. In this league, in the NFL, you have to have balance. And if you don't have balance, it ends up biting you in the butt. I look at yesterday, Baltimore. Baltimore is one of those teams that everybody is calling out. Baltimore is so run dominant that they're the opposite of us. I think if they're not running the ball well and you're putting the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands, and I'm not saying he's not capable of leading his team to victory, but as you see yesterday, more often than not, that's not his strength. There has to be balance. The one team I really like, and I know their record may not reflect it as a great team, but I do like what the Los Angeles Chargers are doing. They run the ball just enough. They don't want Herbert to be a Superman, but they run the ball just enough to keep the defense honest. And that's what you have to do. We somehow, some way, we have to get this run game at least to the point where people will respect us. If they're not respecting our running game, they're just going to come straight at us with the defense. And you know, they're no, even without Gregory this week, you know, there's still a pretty decent front four. So establish that run game. Got to. Clayton, what's going on? Reason why I post about Mike Davis, I want yards and touchdown, but he blocks good. And listen, there is no doubt that you still need a blocking back. It's one of the reasons why Matt has looked clean the last couple of weeks. I know that fourth quarter, we let the defense creep up in there with the Saints, but that game reminded me a lot of Miami, where Matt had a clean pocket early, and then later on in the game, everything started crashing down in the fourth quarter. It kind of makes me wonder, and I don't know, y'all, is it conditioning? Is it that we just, what is it about this fourth quarter with our teams that it seems like the bottom falls out all the time? We've been lucky against Miami and last week New Orleans to be able to come back in that last minute and get the win. But man, we can't keep living like that, especially the longer you go into the season. It said, let's go do what we did in Dallas in 2015, shut them out in the second half and demoralize those fans. Yeah, listen, it's a long way from 2015, my friend. Hopefully we can, and we will. But let's see how that turns out. Twan says, I think we may have to spread defense out and run the draws and counter plays, whatever you need to do to get some type of running game going. We've got to do it, Twan. I'm a fan of that. I'm down with that. Sean, what's going on? Said, feeling like we might pull off the upset this week if we become a little more balanced on offense. Sean, I promise you that's exactly what I've been talking about for the last 5 minutes, to establish the run. And listen, I'm not even asking for 6-7 yards to carry. Give me at least 4 to 5 yards so where my second downs are manageable, that I don't have to worry about being in 2nd and 9, and in a lot of cases, 2nd and 11, meaning we lost a yard or something like that. Give Arthur Smith an opportunity to open up the toys, the weapons that we have. Look, Zacchaeus had a nice game last week with the 2 touchdowns. You know why he was able to do that? Because everybody's looking at Patterson. They already got eyes on Pitts. And now those ancillary guys, the Gages, the Zacchaeuses, those guys get to eat. Even Hurst had an important catch or two in the game last week. We have folks that can get the job done, but it only happens if you're able to do each part of your offense well. We already know Matt can throw the ball if he has a clean pocket. We know that. But something about that run game that we have to get started in this. Isaiah, what's going on? The funny thing is the Hawks literally have the same issue in the third quarter. Look, Hawks are, again, it's early. I'm not going to have the season for me in the NBA doesn't start until after Christmas for me. I don't really pay a lot of attention. If you think about last year, and I know they had Lloyd Pierce running things last year this time, I'm not putting any stake into the Hawks' woes. Now, it would be nice to get this losing streak stopped, but I'm not worried about them until after the holidays. Isaiah also says the Falcons have always played pretty good against the Cowboys. I want to see Pease be aggressive and physical with his defensive play calling like he was through the first 3 quarters against the Saints. And he has dialed up a pretty good game against the Cowboys and the Panthers. Look, that Panthers game, you only gave up 19 points, and that touchdown at the end was a late touchdown. It's not like we were giving up the 20 to 20 yards between the 20s. We were giving up those yards. But at the end of the day, they were keeping them out of the end zone. So every time we did that, we needed the Falcons scoring touchdowns, and they weren't. They were kicking field goals. And I don't even blame Koo for missing a field goal because I'm sure Koo is like, dude, can y'all put one in? Let me rest this leg up one time. He's missed one kick this year. But the offense still has to do their job. So I'm going to tell you what happens. Our offense has to at least put up 3 versus going 3 and out. Dirk Cutter was the same way. MR2 has to make a play when we got the lead. And that's the key. Being aggressive, not only in the first half, because you think about it, we were aggressive going into halftime last week as well. They could have easily been content with a tie going into the game last week, but I like the fact that they pushed the button and they created the narrative at the end of the first half last week by saying, no, we're going to take this bad boy all the way into the end zone. That's what you're going to have to do in Dallas. You're going to have to push it against this team because this team has a much better offense than what New Orleans is sitting at right now. And that would have been whether Crab Legs was a quarterback or not. This is a better offense. Dak is having a good year. I know he was inconsistent last week. That's not going to last. Dak is a good quarterback. Don't sleep on him. And they got guys that can light us up. And our secondary, I know I've seen all the posts and all of the nice things everybody's saying about AJ Terrell, and that's great. And that's cool. The young man is coming along. I must admit, 2 years ago when we drafted him, I was scratching my head, but now I see why, and I'm glad he's coming along against us. But folks, he's not the only person. He can only check one person. They have Lamb, they have Cooper, Schultz is in there, coming out of the backfield, Pollard and Zeke if he plays. It's not like these guys don't have folks that can go out there and make plays. We have to play a sound game defensively against Dallas in order for us to win. Clayton says defense has to keep the pressure on Dak at all times. And that's been one of the things that's been lacking all year. I know we've had a couple of important sacks, had the important sack last week. Vaughn got the strip sack last week, but we need more of that. You can't sit back there. While I don't think Dak is a quarterback that's gonna kill you with his legs, but he's still one of those guys that you have to be ready for. And pressure is gonna have to be put on him in order to have any opportunity to win this game. Isaiah says the Cowboys are playing for redemption, so the Falcons have to be full throttle all game. You know good and well that Dallas was embarrassed last week. And anybody who was looking at that game and after the game, you look and say, oh, 30-16, man, Dallas let them come in there and beat them. No, that game was worse than the 30-16. They didn't score those 16 points to win. It didn't matter. Dallas was drugged that game. If anything, Denver was lucky there wasn't 5-10 more minutes left in the game. Dallas got drugged last week. So what we have to do is avoid being Dallas's revenge game, because Dallas wants to show the world that was just an anomaly, and we got to do better than that. Toya says crab leg. Hey, I didn't go to Publix and walk out with crab legs, Toya. I'm sorry. It is what it is. let him tell you what he wants to tell you. I didn't walk out of Publix not paying for crab legs. Isaiah said, what's funny is Falcons traded back to draft Grant in the second round, and the Dolphins used our 35th pick to draft Holland, who has been a highlight for Dolphins defense. We aren't using Grant enough. I've seen the flashes of Grant, Isaiah, and right now, while we're 4-4, I don't want to be super hypercritical of what Dean Pease is doing with the defense. It is interesting that he's not getting time. Now, look, I don't pretend to be an X's and O's guy and schematically whether he is perfect in some of these situations or not. But yeah, when you spend a second round on somebody, you're expecting to see them a lot in the game. And it does make you wonder what's going on behind the scenes. But listen, at 4-4, give you a little bit of grace period, just a little bit, that maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe. So let's see what happens before we totally just criticize Pease for not letting him in the game. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe inside. I remember when he gave the long explanation about why they do certain things, why they go to certain zones in certain positions, because he was, without saying names, he was trying to say that a lot of those guys weren't ready for some of the coverages that they wanted them to be in. And now I don't know if that was a direct hit on Grant, but I'm going to trust Pease knows more football than I do. So I'm going to trust that he knows what he's talking about. RJ says, Pease says he only shows the players only 30% of the defense. Well, see, there you go. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's been around the NFL. He's coached on the Super Bowl team. Who am I to, question what he's saying? Now, I do know it does concern me that Richie isn't getting up in there, but it's a long season, y'all. We're only 8 games in. We still got 9 to go. So let's see what happens. They were saying the same thing about Pitts when he didn't get enough targets in the first 2 games. Then all of a sudden he started kind of coming in there and doing this thing. Isaiah says Harris is such a liability in coverage. Grant is probably a liability as well, but Grant is a rookie and Harris is an 8-year vet. And also keep in mind, Harris was a special teamer when he was with the Raiders. Harris did not come over as a longtime starter at safety in there, but he's a veteran and he has started games, but it's not like he was a sought after free agent coming from the Raiders. And there was a reason he was on the free agent block. By no means did we sign Eric Harris to come and change the culture and be this great player. He was known more for his special teams work than he was actually starting on the team. And that's why he became expendable. And they moved on from him. This team right now, folks, this is the island of misfit toys. Especially when you start talking about defense. Think about the names on the defense. And really, right now, Grady Jarrett might be the only recognizable name in the NFL that's on the defense. AJ is getting ready to probably make some waves. But even Debo, for the money we're paying Debo, is Debo really being productive with what we're paying him? He gives us some volume tackles, but I also see him out of place quite a bit. Who else on this defense is really I don't want to say respected talent, is a name talent on this team? And this is not saying that no names can't make a great defense. You can play as a great team without having superstars. You can. But right now, we are very much a work in progress. You brought a lot of free agents, 1-year free agents, may I add, and a lot of rookies on this defense. So you're bringing those guys together, and this is your first 8 games of real live football with them. We look horrible the first 2 weeks on defense. And we've had spots where we look bad in the Miami game, in the Washington game, where we've looked bad over the last 4 weeks. But for the most part, the defense has looked better. So I'm not ready to totally throw Pease under the bus quite yet for what he's been doing, but we got to be patient, y'all. Again, we have not officially, in the NFL, it's the halfway point, but we haven't hit our 9th game yet. This is our 9th game Sunday. That's why I say this is a very pivotal game to me. This game here will, to me, help define what's going on going forward. And as fans, what my expectation will be. This is going to be one that tells the tale against a pretty good team. They also say Harmon has been a solid signing. I would hope his veteran leadership could mentor Grant. Clayton says, and another thing, somebody tell Matt to know where Diggs is at all times. Yeah, I know that's right. Yeah, Diggs has been a ball hawker this year. You got to give him a lot of credit. Rush is being investigated this week. Did good this last week. Isaiah said the restructured Debo deal to pay him less money this year and fully guarantee his salary next year. I think Debo and Foye are solid linebackers, but they need a better front four. Grady is the lone wolf on that D line. Yeah, Foye is going to be a problem. Foye, I think, is the next guy on this defense. I like Foye's game right now better than I like Debo's. I think both guys are solid. Debo's fast. I do like Debo's speed, but I like Foye better as a linebacker. But you're right. We have no rush. And I haven't even checked. I need to check and see what the status is on Fowler, whether he's going to play or not. That could end up helping if we can. Look, any kind of rush that we can get on Dak is going to help. Any kind of pressure. It's one thing to say we put a little bit of pressure on Simeon. That's Simeon. But we need to put some true pressure on Dak if we want to have some success. Isaiah also says this game and the next against the Pats will really show the lead that the Falcons are not playing for the rebuild and have some pieces. That's why I say, Isaiah, this game Sunday is going to tell the tale. This is it. Isaiah said, I hope we can re-sign Foye and Oliver. Yeah, Oliver was actually playing. And it's really weird how the Isaiah Oliver story. Isaiah, look, there have been times that Isaiah Oliver has looked lost out there. And there are all other times that I look and say, okay, he's not playing that bad. And when he got hurt this year, I really felt bad for him because he really looked like he was going to be a little bit better this year, and you should be 4 years in the system. But, yeah. No, the player Rush. I know. Okay, I got you. The player named Rush was an impact player last. Yeah, he was. I got you. My bad. I apologize. Yeah, I'm reading comments sometimes, Clayton. I get a little caught up. Yeah, he actually did have a good game. Absolutely. Isaiah said Fowler was listed as doubtful. Yeah, so if he's doubtful yesterday, there's probably, when I hear doubtful, that means he's probably not gonna get in there. Yeah, we have to get some type of not the player rush, but we have to get a pass rush in this game somehow, some way this week. Got to. Clayton also. No, this is Charles. How you doing, Charles? Charles says we have the pieces in place to not only beat Dallas, but play good for the rest of the season. My only concern will be the play calling on Sunday. I like the play calling for the last couple of weeks, Charles. Listen, the Carolina game, let me scratch that. I like to play calling 2 of the last 3 weeks. Now, it does concern me some of the time management things. I think last week we could have had a whole different scenario when we got that 64-yard pass down to the 11-yard line, and we're trying to run the ball with Mike Davis, let alone run with Mike Davis. I would have liked to see Cordero in that position if you call yourself trying to score. But at that point, you're on the road inside the 11 with one of the most accurate kickers in the NFL. Why are you giving the ball to anybody? Hold that ball. They had one timeout, milk the clock, and do what you did at the end. To see that ball go out of Mike Davis's hands during that whole exchange was very concerning. Concerning that was an actual play call when you really didn't need to. You didn't need to do that. The time that they were sitting over there trying to figure out whether Patterson stayed in bounds, you could have been sitting over there going through the scenario. Somebody needs to be talking to him to say, okay, so next step, do we just sit on it because they got to call a timeout anyway or whatever? And I understand we won the game. So we win the game, who cares? But, Clayton says, what's your opinion about facing 2 former Falcons and Dan Quinn? Well, I talked about it at the very beginning, Clayton. The Dan Quinn thing, look, I know Matt earlier in the week in the press conference was saying that, he loves Dan. Dan is a friend. Look, we can, as fans, it's hard for me to not give roses to Dan Quinn. You can say what you want. Everybody can dog out the brotherhood. But you know what? For a year or two, we were one of the better teams in the NFL. A half step from getting to the NFC Championship 2 years in a row. So I give Dan Quinn his credit during those first 3 years, 15 through 17. Now, it ended, and it should have ended when it did. But I think from a standpoint of the team playing Dan Quinn, that there are so few people from that era that it's not going to make a difference. Think about the backfield. There's nobody in the running backs. Jake Matthews on the offensive line, Hayden Hurst, who barely got here to play for Dan for a little bit. When Calvin gets on the field, Calvin. A couple of receivers. On the defensive side of the ball, you're only talking Grady, Debo, Foyer as the only guys who are still here from the Dan Quinn era. So I don't think it's that big of a psychological type thing as far as facing Dan Quinn. As far as the KZ and Neal thing, I mean, listen, KZ had the one nice year where he was ball hawking and led the lead in interceptions, or was the conference in interceptions. That year, he was solid. I would have liked to keep him around, but it's not like he's anybody to be afraid of. And Neal, who was somebody that if the money was right, I would have loved to try to take a waiver on him to come in because he is a ferocious hitter. He's a liability in coverage, which makes me feel real good if Pitts were to get lined up against him, but I don't think they're going to do that. They'll probably put one of their corners on Pitts without a doubt. I don't think psychologically it's going to be that big of a deal to me. I don't think it is. I think it's too many new faces here with the Falcons, not only on the field, but on the coaching staff. The only guy that I see over there on the Falcons is the equipment guy who's been with them forever, even back in the Vic days with the Dreads. That's the only guy that I think is on the sideline that was there in the Dan Quinn regime. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. As Isaiah Oliver's dad, Reginald, came after me in the comments. Watch out. Yeah, but yeah, he was balling after his injury. I mean, he come in the comments all he wants to. Listen, Isaiah, you say what you want to say about Isaiah, and if Isaiah is somebody who looks in the mirror, Isaiah did struggle. He struggled quite a bit. He had a really good year, 2019, the year that we finished up 6-2. He had a really good, strong finish to the 2019 season. Back to 2020, he kind of reverted back to the 2018 Isaiah Oliver. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not calling the man out of his name. I'm talking about his play on the field. From a person, I hope and pray that he recovers and does what he has to do. But let's not try to act like he was Darrelle Revis, Deion Sanders, or anything like that. He wasn't even D'Angelo Hall. Hey, he wasn't even Robert Alford. So, God bless him, and I hope he gets well. But I'm not ready to cower from somebody's opinion. Isaiah said he should have kneeled down all 3 downs, and really, you think about it, it wouldn't have been all 3 downs. I think it would have only been 2 that you had to do. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Brother Jonathan, how are you today, sir? Yeah, let's go, man. Let's get this thing going, man. We got to do this thing in the Big D. This is a huge game for our morale. And as much as I, as a fan, as far as investing feelings into this team, I'm invested either way. And I'm sure a lot of you are invested. But think about if we can win this game at Dallas. Again, get the daily double at New Orleans, at Dallas. And then come home on a short week and do what we need to do to New England. This is a huge game right here. Don't play it off. And is the season over if we lose? No. But boy, coming home 5-4 on a short week to a home game, I'm telling you. Isaiah said all those injuries in 2018 on top of the Super Bowl meltdown is what killed Quinn. Yeah, the 2018 snake bit year when 5 starters went down in the first 2 weeks. Even Grady missed quite a bit of the first part of that season in 2018. Yeah, that wasn't really his fault. That's why I think he got a pass in 2018. Now, 2019, we started pretty suspect. That particular year, I was really surprised, even with the strong ending to that year, that they held on to Quinn as long as they did. But give Arthur Blank, some of y'all say his detriment, his loyalty, and I understand that. But yeah, it doesn't shock me that Quinn was out of there. Isaiah says, Matt, Jake, Grady, and Debo are the only players left from the Super Bowl season. I think it's safe to say we did retool, from the Super Bowl season. Yeah, it's not many at all from there. And again, but from Dan Quinn's standpoint, a lot of the players, we got rid of a lot of players that were on his team last year. I think, and I know there were rumors about, Julio and his relationship, and he was upset about that. And I'm not trying to restart that mess today, but look, he had a culture. And say what you want about Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, for 2 years, brought an identity to the Atlanta Falcons that we hadn't had in a long time. Let's face it. Mike Smith's era, and Mike Smith, to me, is underrated as one of the best coaches, head coaches in our franchise. Mike Smith was just about to win, man. And he probably even knew near the end that it was going to be over. But Mike Smith, he wasn't about the slogans and the rah-rah and all that stuff. Mike Smith was business. Kind of looks like Arthur Smith is somewhere between that, between kind of like the business-esque type guy, a little fiery. I see the little after post-game things when he's greeting the guys coming in, and all that, but he doesn't seem quite as rah-rah. Dan Quinn was good for the moment we had him. I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I wasn't caught up in the brotherhood stuff, and I have a brotherhood t-shirt still in the closet. So it is what it is. You go through phases and you move on. Isaiah said, I would have preferred to retain KZ, but according to him, they pushed him out. KZ didn't want to play under a new regime anyway. Dan Quinn, look, that's why those guys ran to Dan Quinn. KZ was nice. I think KZ was probably looking at first to hopefully get paid. I know he didn't get paid a whole bunch going to Dallas, but at the same time, I'm not paying him any attention to that. Morris moved Oliver to the nickel last year and he excelled. Quinn kept trying to make him an outside corner, and that wasn't the guy. And that could have been the confusing part, Isaiah, when you have somebody that keeps switching your positions up and down. And I know you have to be flexible as a professional, but still, that can probably mess you up. They say everything is bigger in Texas. Well, this dub will be huge. I hope this dub is huge. I hope Dallas stubs their toe 2 weeks in a row. Lisa, how are you? Say, I'm nervous though. Why are we struggling at home? No home wins yet this season. Lisa, the Mercedes-Benz vibe, and I've come to the conclusion, Lisa, and you and I have been in that stadium every game, and we see. I think we outpriced the fan at this stadium, and I think the overall mood of this stadium, not everybody, there are pockets of fans that still are those type of fans. But I think we've outpriced the average fan there. I think we outpriced that, and it shows in the stands. When I get to the game and I'm looking across, mirroring to my section over there, and I see a plethora of red seats. Last week, when I went to the game, not last week, week 4, when I went to the game against Carolina, the whole row behind me and my son, completely empty. Completely. We have outpriced the average fan. And that's just, even the tailgating. If anybody has looked around at the tailgating vibe isn't there. I want it to be. But even that has lost a little bit. No, it doesn't have anything to do with churches being moved and all of that. It has to do with that PSL thing is real. And yes, I have the opportunity to see Keith Urban or Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran before anybody else. Yeah, hooray. But for the average football fan, they just want to pay $100 for a ticket and play and watch. They could care less about everything else. So that's my thought on that. Kibby, what's going on? What's going on, man? I see you over there coming in, brother. Toya says, I lost my voice in New Orleans. I look forward to losing it again in Dallas. Seeing those cowgirl faces after they lose Sunday will be priceless. With Toya, you got to come in here. I'll come in here on Sunday. Please bring us home a win. We want that. We want that bad. Kenzel says, what's going on, Steve? Happy Veterans Day, and I appreciate that. And happy Veterans Day to all those veterans out there. A lot of folks in the group that wore the uniform, and appreciate all of you. And I'm happy and proud to stand with you guys. But, baby, if those Falcons win and beat Dallas Sunday, I'm going to talk trash to all my Cowboys, his friends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram all day long. Let's rise up, Falcons. Listen, and look, Dallas fans are not going to hide like the Saints fans. Boy, did they go radio silent last week? I mean, Saints fans just, woo. Our guy, It's Fans Gold, the guy on Facebook who goes to all the games, he has a nice video, if you guys get a chance to see it, where they're showing the Saints, they're fired up, the towels are rolling, and when Matt hits that play against Cordero Patterson, and you hear the volume, like somebody literally, like if you heard your phone, like somebody pushed a mute button to how that sucked the life out of that stadium. I want the same vibe in Jerry World, where we suck the life out of that stadium. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. What's up, Kivia? Said living in Washington State, our record is better. They're leaving me alone right now. Hey, absolutely they should. Now, I talked to somebody from Fort Lewis yesterday that I hadn't talked to in a long time, my friend. I said that's why I my adulthood started in Washington State. I love reminiscing about that part of town. Javaria said, I want to see Quadre Allison play. I'm sure that's what you mean, Allison. Yeah, it would be nice if he can. Listen, at this point, I don't care who runs the ball, but we need to get more than 1.3 yards a carry, which is what Mike Davis was averaging last week. I'm not saying throw Mike Davis out at this point, but really by now, we should have just gone and stuck with Gurley, right? Or maybe Gurley was still going to ask for $5 million, but you know. Isaiah said, I would have preferred Morris over Smith, but of course, those last games in 2020 against the Saints, Bucks, and Chiefs were his tests, and we lost. Yeah, he had an opportunity. If he ran the table or came close to, let's see, he was fired after the game. We were 0-5, so we finished up the year 4-7. So yeah, he had to win at least 3 more games to be considered seriously. Isaiah says, Ben's Stadium doesn't feel like the Dome at all. That season ticket debacle messed everything up. Absolute. Money talks, man. Money talks. And people aren't going to pay. Look, the feel good of the Georgia Dome that year when we closed that dome, some of that energy went over. Hold on. Excuse me. Some of that energy went over to the Benz in 2017, and there was a newness to the Benz that year. So a little bit of that energy left, but for those of you who are in there, it's different. It's a different vibe. It's totally different. Yeah. Clayton says that's what I was trying to do come down. You know what, Clayton? Yeah. Like I said, next time, brother, hit me up again. I'm gonna look at the messengers a little bit harder. You weren't the only person trying to find me that day, and I had my phone inside. Usually I'll have it out, but I had my phone tucked in, and you know that Carolina game was getting kind of interesting, so I was out there losing my voice that day. But hit me up next go round, my friend, and we'll do that. Warren says we got to put a winning product out there too. That'll help attendance. Warren, you're absolutely right. I think they thought the best advertising going into the opening of the Benz was coming off of that Super Bowl. Lord forbid if we had won the Super Bowl. You would have probably got some people to suck in for even longer than they did. But you're right. That's the best advertising. You got to win. And we did not win a lot. And Matt, I'm trying to think. I know we haven't had a winning record, period, since 2018. But the 2017 year, I'm trying to think that we win a lot of home games that year. I don't think we won a lot. And somebody check up on me. But, yeah, the home field advantage definitely has not been there in the Benz. I see more visitors having fun in there than we do. Isaiah said that made my mom cancel the family season tickets. That game against the Lions will be my first time back in the Benz since the game against the Jags in 2019. I don't blame her, man. It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Rick, how you doing, sir? Said we need Matt to play like he did last week and we will win. Rick, everybody's got to step up. Matt, this team will go as Matt goes. And Matt was feeling it last week. Matt was doing things. He was pushing hard last week. And Matt, with this team and the talent on this team and the youth on this team, Matt has to have that effort every week. Yes, does that mean the offensive line has to show up? Yes, does that mean the defense has to show up? But as Matt goes, the Falcons go. Lisa says, ain't literally told me that Falcons fans are taking this win too far. Meanwhile, they're still wearing 28-3 shirts and hats, but we're taking 5. Saints, listen, Saints fans, the longer we get away from the 2009 season for them, they're almost like Dallas. They living on that past, but we do need to get one to even it out. We do need to get one. John, what's going on? Says you better rotate Russian Pinto at the nose tackle. Yeah, that would absolutely be good. 9 for 13. Throw Mike Davis away. And listen, 2 weeks ago, I'm trying to think. No, not the Carolina game. It was one of the games that I know he averaged 4 yards to carry. I want to say, was that the Washington game? It might have been the Washington game where he had a nice little average. Since then, he has been kind of a liability, but I would love to have him back there blocking. He does do a decent job of blocking, so maybe that's it. Matavius said we finished 4-12. And I don't know what I said. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we were 4-12. We lost the first 5 games. And we went 4-7. That's what I was saying. Morris went 4-7. 7 plus 5 is 12. That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying our season was 4-7. I was saying Quinn's 0-5. He got fired. Morris came in. He was 4-7. That's what I meant. John says if we're going to be serious about running the ball, they better put a fullback in to help Davis and run the offense out of a 3 wide receiver set all game long. We can't run out of a single back set when the opposing team has 10 in the box. You got a good point. Keith Davis, he's not getting as many looks in that backfield as a fullback. Maybe that's by design. I don't know. Maybe we need to go to that a little bit more. I'm not trying to tell you to go 70% run. All I'm trying to say is at least have enough of an effective running game to get 4 or 5 yards going. Isaiah says we won 4 games at home in the 2017 season. So thank you, Isaiah. So 4-4. Again, you're at home. You need to have at least 5. You got to have at least 5 wins at home. This year, we're off to a horrible start. And remember, our home game in London, we won. But here in Atlanta, people don't care about what happened in London from a fan standpoint. All they know is we're going into Thanksgiving almost with no wins this year. We got to do better than that. Henry says play Gallman more. We talked about that, Henry. Hopefully that'll be a good thing. Warren says, what about creating packages where both Patterson and Davis are on the field together? They both decent receiving backs. It worked with Tevin Coleman and Free. I would keep Mike Davis back there because I see Mike blow some linebackers up back there too. Somebody brought that point up of Mike being a really good blocking back, and I've definitely seen him blow that blitzing linebacker up a couple of times. Yeah, listen, whatever it takes, Warren, if that's what it takes to get something going with the running backs, hey, let's try it. Why not? We're 4-4. Should be trying anything. Lisa said, had Mike Davis fumble cost us that game in New Orleans? We were just talking about that, Lisa. Again, no need to give that ball to Mike Davis in that situation. But again, we won. So, Ease, what's going on, man? Good to see you come in here. Look, speaking of going in, it's time for me to go out. I appreciate y'all joining me for the preview. The Falcons, I do think, Wallace, I see you coming and said, this is why we're keeping Davis, because he's a good blocking back. And he is, no doubt. No doubt on that. I think he is a good blocking back. And you got to have somebody back there that can stop those blocks. see Devonta Freeman in February 2017. My prediction, I think it's going to be a good game. I do think they're not going to stop us from scoring. My concern is what we're going to do with our defense against their offense. The Zeke question it'll be interesting to see as Zeke plays. I know he was limited. Let's see what happens with that. I think this is going to be a mid-high scoring game, and Falcons are going to come out on top probably by 4 points. Let's say 31-27. Good guys win in the end. Until then, I will see y'all Sunday evening after the game, hopefully around 7 o'clock, and we'll talk about it then. Y'all have a great Friday. Have a beautiful Saturday, and take care, and we'll see y'all then.